All right, guys. Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be blog two or vlog two in terms of like the USPSA progress that I've made. Guys, most recently, I shot the New Mexico State Sectional Championship. And after two stages on the second stage, I got disqualified. I would love to come to the channel and actually like show some progress about like, hey, I did this, that, or whatever, or, up the class and everything like that. But I mean, these things happen. I mean, it's not my first time getting disqualified in shooting. It's not my first time getting disqualified at all. In fact, I mean, I got disqualified my first time competing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. This is, I got to say though, this was a little hard for me in terms of like, I had a lot of my friends that I've been shooting with for the past couple years. Some guys that like Chris, he came down from Arizona. I haven't seen him in a while, and he came down and we were able to shoot together, get back together for a bit. So, yeah, that was it. Kind of it was very very difficult to process. So what happens is I broke what's called the 180 rule. So if I were from out here from like the wingspan and move forward, that's everything within 180 degrees. Now, once you start to go outside of that wingspan or you go behind you, and it also moves with you as you move throughout the stage. But what happened is I took the muzzle and I put it back behind me. Now, um, I posted this video on my Instagram and it got a lot of very different opinions. Some people thought it was good. Some people thought it was not good. Some people were like, well, what's the difference between 179 degrees and 181? And honestly, for the record, I think the range official made the right call. And I'm gonna tell you why. I think personally, if the idea that we always hear from like people like Dana White, okay, you want a prize, you're a prize fighter. If you leave things in the hands of other people, if you allow other people who are not participating to make judgments based on your performance, you're asking for a subjective judgment. That's just what it is, right? So for me to put the range official in a position where they had to make that judgment call, that's ultimately my fault. And so the call, I think, yeah, I agree that the call could have gone either way. I do agree with that, but at the same time, I take responsibility as the person who put that in his hands to where he's able to make that call. I shouldn't have done that. If I were better to where basically remove him from the equation and then just let the shooting speak for itself, then that would have been that's the right answer for me. For at least for me, that's the main takeaway. I want to that's so for the record, Jeremy, he's a friend. He was the one who was ROing. He was kind of the guy who put the sectional together. So I've got no ill will towards him or anything like that. He's not one of those people that lives for disqualification or anything like that. He made a judgment call, and it was my fault that he had to make that call. So I want to put that out on record to the world, and that's just what it is. So um, now move that there. So some of you guys have noticed upgrading the office slowly but surely, trying to give you guys some more aesthetic value as we kind of shift this thing and make this a more professional podcast and a professional YouTube channel, or just kind of give you guys professional production value, right? Like the aesthetic. This is the world we live in. So I just wanted to include in some of this stuff, like things that are incredibly important to me, that I think at least people can kind of expect to see within the channel, and just kind of see like there's a constant mix of training gear with hard use gear. We got some cigars thrown in the mix, things of my career, things that have helped kind of like shape and frame my worldview in terms of like how I view training, and I'll begin to talk about that more throughout the channel. If you guys want to support this, just guys, all you gotta do is like, subscribe, and I will be giving away Tenacore holsters. They gave us a bunch of holsters for the summit. They're unfortunately they're only for Glock pistols, but if you got a Glock and you want a free holster, just like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell me about what it is that you want to see in this channel, and you're automatically in the drawing for one. So I'll be giving it away once a month. I'll be giving away a free holster to the viewers. The other thing, guys, make sure you guys check out First Responders Coffee and Cigars. They are right up there. I think in terms of a company, they're the idea of a veteran-owned company that or a law enforcement or veteran-owned company that gives back to their community. Very few of those companies have actually followed through on their stuff, right? Like, um, in terms of expectation. And one thing about FRCC is that they take 20% of their proceeds and they put it aside towards training and equipping law enforcement within the local Florida area and around the country. So make sure you guys support them. Great cigars, amazing coffee. They sponsored us at the Combative Summit. So that stuff, they didn't send that to me. I paid my own money just because I really like their stuff. Also, guys, I want to make sure that we recognize the Florida State Guard. Their entire leadership team came to the Combative Summit and put in like a hard 3 days of work as students. And that's something that, one of the predictable areas of failure for combatives programs comes down to the lack of knowledge from the leadership, usually, right? That's one of the areas. It's not there's many factors, but that's one of the areas, and that's a known factor. So for the Florida State Guard, their leadership to come out and become informed consumers in terms of like how they're going to train and equip their people for disaster relief, CSAR, or excuse me, search and rescue, counter counter black markets that occur whenever we have this uh, infrastructure instability that occurs when there's a hurricane or any kind of natural disasters. For those guys to come out and do the thing, man, I got nothing but respect for that, man. Like that's the type of leadership that is a verb, right? Like the leadership in action, the demonstrative leadership, performative leadership. That's what we want to see. So I want to make sure that I give a shout out to them. If you guys have a chance, if you guys can check out the Florida State Guard, make sure you guys do that. In the meantime, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and if you guys check out my YouTube shorts, you'll see the video. Um, Now, as far as what I have done and what I have been doing with my USPSA, well, the main thing is the consistent dry fire. Okay, the dry fire has been really off the hook. Okay, and it's been something that I don't think is super interesting for YouTube. This is my competition gun. This is the CZ Shadow 2. If you guys want to know why I have a piece of tape over the front, that is so that way I can focus on the target. I'm going to be looking at where I want the bullets to go, and I'm going to be superimposing that red dot onto the target, looking through the tape directly at the target. And that is so that way I can just get faster and have a precise index and all these things that occur with that. So I can talk about red dots at another time, but like I'm still kind of figuring out everything going as far as like the training routine. The main thing that I got this month with coaching with Tim Herron was something similar to the way you should practice martial arts, and in that less is more. Less is more. So what I mean by that is like I have like this whole routine of things that I was doing, and I felt like I needed to constantly like I felt like I needed volume. I needed a wide range of things, and it really didn't get me good at one thing. So what Tim did was he helped me focus those efforts to become very specific. So, for instance, um, you look at an area target versus a point target, and we kind of though I won't insult your intelligence, one's a big wide area and the other's a very precise spot. So a lot of times what happens is people will see kind of a target like this back here over my right shoulder, and they'll kind of look at the brown, okay, and they'll just kind of launch it. It's like, see brown, burn it down kind of deal. Instead of picking a very, very precise point of aim. And that's a lot of what the exercises that Tim has had me doing is really just focusing spot, 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 spot. Not even so much pressing the trigger, of course, building my grip, making sure my grip pressures are there and they're consistent, and I'm stabilizing the gun the way I need to. But also, I'm also very much like focused as far as feeling everything that I need to do. So as I'm pressing that trigger, I'm making sure that the sights are not being disrupted. I'm not so much looking at my dot, but I'm aware of its movement, right? And I get it. Like, this is super nerdy. This ain't great. This is not incredibly compelling and interesting content for YouTube in terms of like unless you're a real shooter, right? So this is kind of the very boring process stuff that people forget about, like that I don't think people paid enough attention to, honestly. Um, Next thing you'll notice, I've got something in terms of inside the magazine. Now, these are not live rounds; these are dummies. There is no primer back there, no powder. So all there is the lead bullet. So that gives the pistol the weight of an actual loaded gun. So that's been interesting as well. Dealing a lot of that. So mostly my dry fire, really two or three things I'm practicing at a time, and most of it is focused on finding a spot, picking that spot, and making sure that my sight is stopping precisely at the spot I want. It's not so much of see what you need to see. It's like I see what I want to see. I want to see the dot stop on this spot. I want to see it move. I want to see the next target. I want to shift my eyes, see the next spot I want the dot to go to, and then the dot will drift over. And without throwing or muscling the gun. So a lot of that is just really indexing, target transitions, um, reloads. That's been a kind of a very a hard sticking point for me. Just making sure that the reloads are there. For some reason, I'm always like crashing or colliding or doing something kind of weird. So I've been really focusing on the see, there you go, right? See the Burkett reloads in terms of making sure that I see the mag well, and I'm just riding that in there and making sure that the reload goes where it needs to go. So reloads have been, I don't know what's going on with me lately. But yeah, that's been kind of a real Achilles heel for me. So other than that, guys, that's been the main focus. It's not been crazy, nothing sexy. Also been shooting with the Ace, that the VR thing from MetaQuest. Um, Reason why I got that is because I heard Eric Graffel shoots 1,000 rounds a day. Um, I don't have a sponsor. That shit, I don't know. I think that's about 80 grand a year in just ammo. So that's about, just just slightly under my annual salary. So that's not gonna work for me. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let me spend, I don't know, $500 on this Meta Quest thing, and I'll shoot 1,000 rounds virtually, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing. Also, a lot of dry fire. Beyond that, guys, that is kind of how things going. I have another match on Sunday. Today is what? What's today? Today is October 25th. So that's going to be October 27th is my next competition match. I'll probably post it up on my Instagram. I'll leave the link down below. I'm pretty easy to find, John V Actual. And yeah, guys, let me know questions, comments, concerns, put them down. Let's continue. And yeah, I'll keep on reporting back with the progress. And I appreciate you watching. Take care.